Are you ready?
Yep.
RAW here is a pretty big event in Copenhagen. How do you feel about tonight's gig?
I'm looking forward to it, man. Heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I have on the label is Kid Massive. He's from Denmark originally. He told me RAW is a really big party. It's really cool.
We have a lot of like electronic festivals through the summer.
Yeah.
Distortion is one of them.
Yep.
Then we have RAW right now, is just one day, and then we have Strum after this.
Ah, that's right.
So we have 3, and this is one of the biggest of them. It's the biggest one-day festival of all in Copenhagen and in Denmark. We talked with Starterby last year at Strum, where he played, and we questioned him about how he prepared his set. And the same we're gonna ask you, because DJs are different in that manner. How do you prepare your set? Do you have a set ready, or are you gonna feel the crowd before? Or?
I always feel the crowd whenever I'm playing any of my sets. I think one of the most important things is whenever I go from city to city, I have my sound, but within that sound I have a broad scope of music. So whenever I'm playing, I really vibe off of what the crowd is going, for, and what they're really reacting to right in front of me. So I try not to prepare a set. Okay, this is what I'm gonna play. I leave it a bit open.
Yeah. You have been on the dance music scene all the way, really. You have been there from it really started. There's no doubt that it's bigger today than where you started.
Definitely.
How do you feel about that it's so big that you hear dance music really on MTV every day?
It's amazing to me because I started in the era when it was very early, when house was just really getting started. Even before then, actually, when it was just disco and breaks and everything. So to see it become such a worldwide phenomenon is great, and the fact that I've been able to continue to do what I do and still be really here at the forefront is fantastic.
Yeah. So we call it the David Guetta effect. That the house music is coming into. We have some years ago when Timbaland really had all the sounds in the top 20, and now it's more like David Guetta sounds. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's interesting because I think that David has managed to really cross the bridge between pop music and dance music, electronic music. It's definitely much more commercially acceptable and accessible, but it does open the door to the whole scene. The reason that dance music and the house music in particular is becoming so big is because artists even like Lady Gaga and other people like that have really taken a hold of house music and dance music and brought it to the masses, and then now they're seeing this world that we've been having for quite a while now really develop.
So it's good.
I think so.
You don't think that it's gonna, like the underground, where it's more. I mean, it's still mainstream, as you said. So it's not a problem that it's getting more mainstream.
The underground's always going to be the underground.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned is, like anything, house music and dance music goes through cycles. There's times when it's more popular, and there's times when it just kind of almost just goes right back underground. Right now, it's the most popular it's ever been, but there's still a very strong underground scene, and the sounds really change there. So I don't worry about it, because as big as commercials as it can become, the underground's still always going to continue.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. You're also a label owner, really big label owner. Do you see yourself as a label owner or a DJ, or is it both?
I'm everything. I'm a producer, I'm a DJ. I think I'm always a DJ first, because that's how I started. Playing to people made me be inspired to go into the studio to create sounds to then play out. And then having my own label allows me to really release and develop new artists and new sounds. So, but I'm always a DJ at heart first.
A DJ at heart.
Yeah.
The label is pretty big now and have released some pretty big tracks and have some really big artists. That's where we started to get your music. And I mean, isn't it good that you have your record have a sound that is so big that you have? It's one of the biggest labels in the world in house music. You have, and you mix this where so we just got your new CD.
Ah, yes,
and I mean, if you have Hit Candy and you have all that kind of that labels, yours is one of the biggest ones. Isn't that great? You just started as a DJ.
I think the best thing about what we do at Stealth Records is, and I've actually changed the direction a little bit of the label. Instead of just focusing on releasing records, I'm focusing on developing the artists that are on the label. We kind of create a family. What I've been able to do is, because I had a certain level of success, I was able to take that and say, okay, now I'm going to do this my way. I've got my own studios. All our people support each other, and having a label allows me to be able to say, okay, this new artist is really interesting. Let's develop it. Let's really focus on it. So now, because the internet is so prevalent, physical sales aren't the greatest thing in the world, we actually said, you know what, we're going to focus on developing artists and have them be part of Stealth, and that's our true strength, is the music that we release and the artists that we support.
Okay, now a little about RAW. It's a festival. It's where people come in. It's not a club. Do you prefer to play at festivals, or are you more into the club?
I've always been more of a club person, but I've been really appreciating how festivals bring such a broad cross-section of people together, and especially the younger crowds really go for that festival vibe. And for me, it reminds me of the early days of playing in warehouses back in New York.
Yeah.
You know, there was really no real big, there's no electronic festivals back then. It was just a warehouse rave, and that's what these type of festivals especially remind me of, and I love that vibe. It's real underground.
I mean, it's some of the biggest festivals in the world, or only actually one day's festival like Sensation and the one in Miami, World Music Festival, all those kinds of festivals is bringing the house music. But you think it's good that you have so much people?
I think so, because it always brings in a new type of audience. It keeps the music scene moving forward, and it also exposes it to a broader cross-section of people. And I think the whole reason I do music is to communicate with people. You know, house music happens to be my language, but the more people I can talk to, the better. So I think it's great to open it up.
Okay. You're more or less on the run all the time. We have look at your blog, and we can see all the pictures of you flying and all that. How long are you going to continue with that?
I have no idea. I mean, the thing is, I love what I do. I'm blessed to be able to do this. I actually try to keep myself in good condition so that when I'm on the road, like this week, we've been every single day in a new city, get up, fly, get to the new place, and I'm working on music on the road at the same time. So I don't know, we'll see.
I mean, it's on the road all the time. Don't you get tired of like new place every day? And
well, here's the interesting thing. I also, since my family is back in the States now, I mean, I live in Ibiza during the summertime in the States. I try to take time out where I just go home, chill with the family. Then when I'm husband and daddy, and you know, DJing and everything, you know, isn't as important to them. It's more like daddy's home. So it gives me a sense of reality, so that when I go back on the road, I'm refreshed, I'm having new energy, new inspiration, and I think that's really helped me keep going. So as long as it's about having a balance, you know, I'll always be able to do it. Because
DJs are more or less right now like rock musicians. It's on the tour all the time, and they are superstars. I mean, the biggest superstars right now in the mainstream scene is probably Swedish House Mafia, and they brought it to a big scene. But DJs are superstars, and even in Denmark, with a little country, have been on the front page of several newspapers that DJs are the new superstars. Do you think that, or?
Well, the interesting thing is, because dance music has primarily always been a DJ format in terms of the artists that are represented have always been the DJs that have been the producer. So the fact that dance music is so big right now, it's natural that the DJs will wind up take the center stage. You know, I play all over the world, and I see the reaction of people, and for me, I try to elevate what I do to an art form. People like Swedes, Getta, all the big DJs, you know, myself and others, it's a responsibility to try to take our game to the next level, to make it a performance.
Yeah. So it's more than art than just to play somebody else's records.
Well, the thing is, now we make our own records. You'll find a lot of DJs only play their own music, so it's kind of interesting. I try to do a bit of both. I always play other people's music, but I also deconstruct and reconstruct it. I play with 4 decks. Sometimes when I do my whole live visual show, I'm doing visuals and with an iPad, and at the same time that I'm mixing on 4 decks. It's complicated, but it's a show. You have to put on a show.
Wow.
You know?
4 decks and an iPad. What is your best DJ moment ever?
I think the next moment is always the best moment, because you're always looking forward to see what comes next. I've had some amazing events this year at Release Yourself, which is my event in Ibiza, in Mykonos. I just played yesterday with David Guetta in Tenerife, 10,000 people, and it was insane. So things like that are amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Ibiza have like the past years have been the place for house music. Miami is coming with their festival. Do you think Ibiza's gonna still hold the vibe they have, or?
Ibiza's interesting because this year it really came back even more. So, as an international destination, I think it's definitely still the center of it. But you know, you have got places like Las Vegas, Miami, lots of places around the world. Brazil is becoming really, really big for it. So the good thing is it's spreading.
That's a fun thing about this Las Vegas and Miami, because like 10 years ago, house was not that big in the States at all, and now it's becoming more and more like hip hop was before, but now it's house music. That would be great when we were from the States.
Well, the interesting thing is because a lot of hip hop artists have started collaborating with producers like myself. I did stuff with Far East Movement. You know, obviously Get has done stuff with Snoop and 50 Cent, and obviously Black Eyed Peas. So the worlds are mixing and merging. And that's always good for the music scene to take on different elements. So we'll see where it goes.
And then we just wanted to go back to your past. What track did you fall in love with? We've been DJing ourselves, and that's always a track where you get like, that's how I fell in love with house music.
For me, it was very, very early on because I came from the early breaks and disco days. But I think one of the earliest house tracks that really touched me was Mr. Fingers' Can You Feel It? That was, at that era, it was just an emotional track, instrumental, but just really had these deep emotions. Very, very deep, very slow, but very underground house.
That's how I fell in love with house music.
Yes.
And then a little silly question: what beverage do you drink? What's the beverage?
The funny thing is, I really drink a lot of water. I don't drink too much alcohol, ever. Really, a little bit, but you know, champagne here and there. But I don't really drink very much.
So you're not that kind of DJ with
I don't party like that. Not with my schedule. No. My schedule is like, if I can start getting trash, you know, 3 days into the gig, I'm gonna be into the tour. I'm gonna be like, this is not gonna be a good look. So you know, I try to keep it pretty. pretty stable so I can make it through.
But when you started, it was like that, though.
Well, no. See, the thing is, I've never been that person. I've always been someone that, you know, I always was into martial arts, working out, the whole thing. So I always kept myself very, very healthy, and that just continued through what I, you know, through the music scene and everything. Yeah. But I know plenty of people that love to party, and I'm like, I'll let you guys do it, and I'll be the one at the end of the night saying.
That's all we had.
Okay, well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys later.